Hope is deceitful, and it's not the future, it's the problem. My name is Busayo Twins, and I use social media to challenge political apathy. You see, Planet Hope is a lie. A world where we've romanticized humanity without first assigning ourselves the humanitarian duty to bring it about. A place where we've supposedly gone beyond oppression. But in this world, all we've done is show our commitment to betraying the oppressed with our hollow commitments to freedom and liberty. Planet Hope is just the reckless legitimization of an idea that passive revolutions are possible. But history has shown us this is not the case. There is no world out there to reward us for today's inaction. Having faith is not the same as forging fate, and such a fantasy, well, that traps us all in a state of ignorant optimism about a future where you and I are only required to think, therefore we are, ourselves into ceasefires, equity, and sustainability. But as I said, civilization is not built on hope. Change is not sparked by merely feeling bad about the state of the world. It is driven by people like you and me who refuse to accept it. And I've always struggled to reconcile my activism and my faith. I grew up watching people hand over the world's man-made problems to God, but refusing to challenge the systems responsible for their oppression. Yet year after year, fatalities from youth violence rose, conflicts deepened, and poverty persisted. At times, it felt like religion encouraged docile behavior. Despite how revolutionary the text can be, because of its promises of justice in the next life, it makes us neglect the here and now. It convinces us that our humanitarian duties can be ignored. It shifts accountability from human agency and free will to divine intervention, making us believe that praying for the world replaces the need for us to build a better one. And even in a world consumed with individualism, capitalism, and self-preservation, there might not be a belief in a higher power, but there is an irrational trust in markets, institutions, and governments to deliver our justice without the need for any of us to demand it. And such a trust gives us no reason to organize beyond personal ambition or even imagine a world beyond the limitations of neoliberalism. Yet I recall in Isaiah chapter 1, verse 17, it says, "Seek justice, defend the oppressed, take up the cause of the fatherless and plead the case of the widow." It's a scripture that demands action, not observation. It's a call for our courage, not our complacency, urging us to confront oppression, not normalize it. But hope downplays the pains of the poor and the cries of the persecuted. It convinces us that we don't need to honor our humanitarian duties because someone else out there will surely be honoring theirs, right? And so for a long time, I had no faith and I had no fight. And then the genocide in Gaza began. And I tried to engage my friends, colleagues, anyone that would listen. And what did I hear? Oh, it's horrible, isn't it? Sending love to those affected. Or worse, I just scroll past now to protect my peace. You see, when invited, they would never attend a protest with me or any of the events I held to organize for real change. They wouldn't boycott their favorite brands or lend their platforms to speak truth to power. but they had hope. And when I had tried to return to church that year, determined to reconnect with its social justice origins, I was met with the same resignation from fellow believers. Busayo, I've been praying for peace. I have faith that God will intervene. Or worse, isn't it God's will? You see, these same people will know the commands for tithing, purity, and marriage. But when it came to injustice, silence. And I felt like the outsider again. As if by simply trying to remind people to be stewards of the earth, I was the one that was straying from the teaching. Pious and non-pious alike, Planet Hope is a delusion that the world will fix itself. But hope does not liberate the oppressed. Only collective action does. And so the danger with hope, when it's uncoupled from action, is that it reduces all of us to passive bystanders of oppression in a world where only the actions of the perpetrators will count. And I am yet to find the life that hope has saved. Because in 1804, it wasn't hope that freed the Haitians from the French, it was revolution. And in 1994, it wasn't hatred of apartheid that dismantled it. It was decades of economic and cultural boycotts, strikes, resistance from students to workers that eventually brought that regime to its knees. So the problem with hope, when it's unaccompanied by agency, is effectively passive surrender disguised as virtue. So what would happen if we all took action to end injustice? Just as enthusiastically as we can imagine these planet hopes and as poetically as we construct our prayers for peace. Because to move beyond hope is to reject complacency. For me, whether I'm online or on the ground, I choose to use my voice to remind all of us that we are not owed a just world, we have to create it. Yes, you and I, in each of our decisions, we decide if justice remains an ideal or becomes a reality. Because the children in Gaza and Congo and Sudan are not asking for our hope. They've been asking for our help. But don't get it confused. I don't think I can save the world. I just refuse to fantasize about a better one that didn't require me to fight for it. For me, advocacy is more than just content. It's actually my commitment to humanity. It's how I stand beside millions of other voices, campaigners, and people to overcome civic paralysis and form a global people's resistance. And when I think about it now, despite my conflicts with activism and faith, there has always been one scripture guiding me all along. That's James chapter 2, verse 26. Faith without works is dead. Conviction laid my path to justice, but activism is my choice to walk it. So this is not a call for you to hope. This is a chance for you to act. And remember, whatever world does come next, it will not be the sum of our hopes, but the record of our activism. And if we leave the responsibility of justice to those we believe will fight for it, who we expect to fight for it, then we are just making justice an option when it should be inevitable. And one day, when people ask you, how do you keep going? How do you have so much hope? You'll eventually be able to say, you don't have hope. You have responsibility. Thank you.